Hi there, and welcome to the Player YouTube channel, where, amongst other things, we do interviews, and today is no exception. We're here to do an interview with someone that I think is very, very interesting. Unfortunately, it's a typical British summer day, so consequently it's dark, it's damp, it's raining, and we need to get inside and meet this guy. His name is Richard Williamson, and he owns a company called McKay Williamson. They are interested in art and artists. He is an artist in his own right, but he represents a lot of artists as well. So, we've got a nice big red bus behind us, so you definitely know I'm in London now. Let's get inside this wonderful Pall Mall deposit and have a look around and see what we think of Richard's place, and Richard's going to give us a full interview. Let's do it.
So, Richard Williamson, everybody. You probably weren't expecting him to look like that, were you? Most artists look like, well, in my opinion, artists always look like they're a bit crazy. They've got like wild hair and they're like paint splattered over their face and stuff, but you're not sort of that type of artist, are you? I know you are an artist, but...
Yeah, I am an artist, but really I'm more of an art dealer and a gallerist than an artist.
Right.
I mean, I do have a deeply creative side. You know, what can I say? I'm a Renaissance man.
A Renaissance man.
There
I like
you
that.
go.
That's really cool. The one thing which I've introed you before we came up to meet you was basically the fact that you feel that we shouldn't be buying art to match our homes.
Oh no, the art that you own is going to outlast your home.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, it's the thing that you take from home to home. It stays in your life for decades.
Yeah.
And it should be more than aesthetically beautiful. I mean, of course it should be cool. Your art should be great. But there's two things that every human being who's ever loved a piece of art had in common.
Yeah.
Is that it was aesthetically cool.
Yeah.
And it had some kind of personal meaning for them.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
So for one person, that might be a retro poster of the Porsche 911 that they own.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
For another person, that might be a cityscape of Paris, and they love the city of Paris.
Yeah.
They're both different types of art.
It's two memories there.
Yeah, there's two memories. But and another person, it might be really meaningful for them that they've made £100,000 on this piece of art. So it could be an investment meaning.
Okay.
But regardless, if someone loves a piece of art, there's two things that it always has in common.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
And it's meaningful to them.
So it's something that, yeah, I kind of get that. So you shouldn't really be out there looking for pieces of art that you're going to buy for investment only.
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I think that there is, it's a slippery slope, investment like anything else. It can go up or down.
Sure.
But I think that it's something that becomes the fabric of our lives. You know, it's literally the interior landscapes of our homes.
Yes.
Is, you know, the art on our walls. And we've all had that experience of being in a hotel or someone else's home that was just beautifully appointed.
Yeah.
And it just calmed our soul.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. Yeah, that's very true. I've been in a few houses like that.
But we don't always make that priority for ourselves.
No.
And it's interesting because we know that our own interior lives are super important, but we sometimes forget ourselves. And art, you know, you're in your home more than any other place in the world, even more than your car.
You can't carry your art about in the car with you.
No. So that's why. I mean, you know, it's just fun having cool art.
Cool. Bit me repeating you now. Going back to a bit of basics. Obviously, you don't sound very British.
No, I've lived here for 27 years and
Okay.
have managed to retain that American accent.
Oh, it's American.
Yes.
You know, I can never tell the difference between the Canadian and American accent. Is there a difference?
There is, but we don't tell anyone else what it is.
So you can tell each other apart.
We certainly can.
Yeah. So you've lived here 20 years.
Yep.
You always been into art?
I have. Well, before this business, I had a clothing design business.
Okay.
And then I got very lucky with a buddy of mine, got some very good contracts, sold that, was in a relatively nice position in my late 20s, and then started up the art gallery.
And what I mean, does this love of art stem from a child, or did it happen recently?
Oh, I wanted to be an artist when I was a child, but my parents talked me out of anything to do with that path.
Why?
Because you couldn't make any money doing it.
Yeah, true. There were there have been a lot of poor artists. You know, I've known artists myself personally that have, you know, had to borrow money to buy canvas.
Yeah.
So even to this day.
Yeah,
We're not talking back in Toulouse-Lautrec day, you know.
It can be a life of penury.
Yeah.
But I've been a little bit lucky, and I've worked very hard.
No, good for you. I think that's brilliant. But as we said right at the beginning, not just an artist. I know you do your own art. You can tell me a bit about that in a minute. But you represent artists. Now, what got you into that? I mean, how did that start?
Well, it started initially because someone that I knew asked me for a work of art that wasn't the sort of art that I did.
Okay.
But I knew a buddy of mine who did.
That's kind of cool.
Paul Wright, and I just thought, let me introduce you to him.
So, like you build blocks of flats, for example, or apartments, and then someone asks you to build a warehouse. You go, well, it's not really my thing, but I know a guy who can build it.
Yeah, and so I seem to be a fairly natural networker. I just get on with people.
Yeah.
And I found that.
I hadn't noticed that probably. Walked in here with a plate of donuts and, you know, coffees and everything thrown at me. Talk about make me feel at home. Go on, sorry, I've interrupted you.
Not at all. So I mean, but that was 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I represent 50 artists. They're all contemporary, emerging to mid-career artists who, the favorite thing I look for is versatility. An artist who really makes you think.
Yeah.
So this Nick Veazey behind you, for
I love
instance.
this. Yeah.
You know, that's an actual X-ray of an actual skeleton done in his bunker in Kent. And the guy drinking the drink and having the fag, I mean, that's been me on more evenings than I can remember. So it has a deep personal meaning to me.
Yeah.
When I talk about having personal art, right? You talk about a Vincent Poole with just a gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
she's over there.
I'm deeply connected to the beautiful feminine form.
Yeah.
That
Aren't we all?
counts. That counts as personal art.
Well, the majority of us are.
Indeed. But you take a one of these Ritva Georgiadists. You know, I love a bit of science. Right? I'm such a sucker for those pop science books. And reading about geography or how the world works and all that sort of thing. And you can't look at that piece over there without thinking a little bit about what's happening to our planet.
It does look like it's exploding.
Yeah.
That's exactly the way it looks.
You know, and everyone's going to have a different connection to that. So when I talk about having art that's cool and personally meaningful, the first couple of examples I used were maybe a Paris cityscape, which was quite a literal, if you love Paris, then have a Paris cityscape, or a Porsche 911, you own a Porsche. So yes, there are those little literal ways to interpret that sentence.
Yeah.
But where you get really interesting is in the abstract ways to interpret that sentence.
I love a bit of abstract. But going back to you representing these artists, do they find you or do you find them, or is it a mix of the two?
Both. I find them, I probably get 5 artists a month asking me to represent them.
Wow.
And I don't represent anyone that I don't really believe in.
Okay.
So occasionally someone will come to me that I think is amazing.
Yeah.
But the truth is that just like anything worthwhile, the best things you have to chase.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. I know where you're going with this one. I'm not gonna go down that route. What about? I mean, we're talking artists. You know, sculptors, for example. This again, you know, it's quite a scary piece that, but I do like it. It's a bit different. I mean, someone like, so you don't just define to painting artists and, you know, people who work in fabrics, for example. You do actually get more into sculpting people who sculpt. Is that the best way of putting it?
Sculptors.
Sculptors, that's a better way of putting it. God. Anyone would think I was from England. Can't remember my words. Yeah, so it's very random and varied, the type of artist you represent.
So yes, it's artists, it's sculptors, it's photographers. There's even a design division that I've created. Everything I'm trying to do has the one thing that's similar, which is putting beautiful work in people's homes that's meaningful to them. Where it isn't just what they spent on the art. There's something that, like if the house was on fire and everybody was safe, they'd actually think about saving that piece.
I read that in your bio, because I was obviously sent a bit about you before I came to meet you, just so I could understand a little bit about the way we were going to conduct this interview. And I actually read that, and it made me think straight away. Because guys, if you're watching this, if you think about this, if you've got a piece of art in the house, and that, you know, God forbid the house was on fire, as you said, would I actually run back in to save that? Now, there'd be 2 reasons I'd do that. in my personal opinion, it would be one, because it's worth a fortune.
Yeah.
Or it would be two, because it has some significant personal relevance to me.
Yeah.
So then that obviously goes back to exactly where we started this conversation from, which is whether that relevance is unique to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the investment value.
Indeed, indeed. And so when we talk about, so the design division of, the sub-business that I run or own or whatever you call it, what that really does is it takes people's personal photos and transforms them into very aesthetically pleasing
Collages.
pieces, collages.
I
Correct.
think they're amazing.
Thank
I've seen
you,
them.
thank
Yeah,
you.
really lovely.
I will admit that they don't have a resale value.
No, that is a total personal thing that you make for them. But you've made a different business out of that, haven't you? That's
I
nothing.
have indeed. I have indeed. I mean, most design work, most decorative work that people have in their homes, they don't expect an investment return on. So when people buy those, I don't think that they look at that as a negative thing.
Yeah.
It's just that with certain artwork, there is the added benefit that you could actually make money from this as well.
Yeah.
I mean, to be making money from your walls, that's never a bad thing.
Yeah, yeah, that is very true. I've got a couple of bits of random questions I'm going to fire at you here. So
Yeah.
first up, as an artist yourself,
Yeah.
Are you a painter, or are you a photographer, or are you a sculptor? Which line of art are you into?
I'm a multimedia mosaic collagist.
I love that. That's a multimedia mosaic collages, an MMMS.
Yes, yes. First time it's been called that.
So, and that basically is you obviously you don't work with a paintbrush then.
I do actually paint, but I'm just not very good at it.
Oh really?
I mean,
At least you're honest.
I do enjoy painting,
Yeah.
but I just don't think that I wouldn't spend money on my own work.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a pretty good photographer,
Okay.
but I'm not the best photographer I know by a long way.
Sure.
But when it comes to multimedia mosaic collage work,
Yeah.
I think my shit's pretty hot.
Love it. I think my shit's hot.
And I take images from other people and I come up with various three-dimensional ways to combine them.
Yeah.
I've taken photos from someone's life and recolored them and photoshopped them and then printed them onto flower petals and then created a kaleidoscope of flower petals of the memory of their life.
Wow. That's
Very
really,
beautiful
that's
piece.
deep, man. That's really deep. A kaleidoscope of their life.
Yeah, yeah.
Love it. Almost need, I need something to smoke when we're talking about stuff like that.
So if you got them, smoke them.
Yeah, if you got it, yeah, tell me about it. Not today, unfortunately. No, that again goes back. And then another question which I wanted to ask, again going back a little bit there. Have you ever been asked to do something that you felt like was a little bit perhaps too near the mark as an artist? Or, like has anyone said, look, here's some naked pictures of my wife or something, or my husband, and yet they ask you to do something, and you go, oh, I don't think I can do that. It's a little bit...
Well, I mean...
You don't have to name names.
I have taken several... I have done several intimate commissions.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I was expecting a big fat no.
No, I have. And it's never been something that was tasteless.
No, sure.
It's always been something that I was proud to be a part of and to work on. To be honest, mostly that's involved not working from a collagist perspective.
Okay.
So I don't think I've ever done an intimate collage piece. But remember, most of the like for every piece, when a client comes to me,
Yeah.
I'm recommending a different artist 99 times for every time I recommend myself.
Yeah, how do you find recommending yourself, though?
I find it really uncomfortable.
Do you use an alias?
Well, usually, people have seen work I've done, and
Yeah.
they're coming and they're kind of demanding that I work on their project.
Okay.
So I've been doing this long enough to where I've got a little bit of a reputation, and it grows itself. I don't have to try too hard.
Yeah, no, well, that goes without saying. I see the bits and pieces you've done, and the people you represent is amazing, so...
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So usually what happens is I'll say, no, this is a piece that should be painted by Nushka Moreau, or Fernanda Cataldo, or Paul Wright, or Patrick Reeves, or one of my traditional oil painting artists,
Yeah.
who are going to then go interpret those images and produce something that's both risque and intimate, but also a real piece of art.
Cool. So, kind of begs the question that, you know, with your experiences within the art world and everything that you're doing, you know, really you should be on the road to writing your own book, shouldn't you?
Actually, I started one 6 months ago,
Really?
and I'm nearly finished. I've got it about 85%. I'm hoping to publish this summer.
And it's about your life or the artist you've met?
Oh, no, it's just about buying art. It's how to buy
really?
art. It's the title, the working title of the book,
Yeah.
How to Buy the Art You'll Love Forever.
Well, that's the working title of this video then, isn't it?
I guess so. You know, how people love art, it can be because it's personally meaningful, or financial investment. There's loads of things that would make someone buy a piece of art.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to go through and cover, each of the different ways that art can make an impact on our life.
That's absolutely brilliant. That's the type of book I would buy or read online for sure, because if you're, you know, anybody who's thinking of investing in art, or as you say, just generally making their home look much nicer. By the way, if I've got, you know, sort of £5,000 for it to spare, for example, would I be getting in the ballpark for getting into the art market, so to speak, or would I need a bit more?
Well, so for £5,000, you can definitely get a bunch of really beautiful, really cool pieces of art.
Okay.
Lots of really impressive work.
Yeah.
None of it's going to be investment grade.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a thing, like I suspect it's a little bit like cars.
Yeah.
If you spent £5,000 on a car, it's not going to be an investment car.
No.
It's going to get you you're going to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
But there must be a number of which you have to spend at least that for the car to be considered something that you could genuinely sell for more. So
Yeah.
I don't know the car world like you do.
Yeah.
How much do you have to spend on a car?
You could be lucky. This is where I think it crosses over with art, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That you could be lucky and find a car for a good value. Say, for example, a barn find, as they call them. So you're just rooting about, or somebody says, "Oh, a friend of mine's selling a car," or "Sadly, a friend of mine's passed away. Would you give me some money to move this old car?" So that actually happened to me recently.
Okay.
Where someone said to me, "Would you have a look at a car that I've had for the last 10 years locked up in a garage, and tell me whether it's worth renovating, restoring?"
Yeah.
And it happened to be an old Golf GTI. If you're American, you probably know it as a Fox, I think they call it.
Okay.
A rabbit, that's it, not Fox, it's the rabbit.
Okay.
It's a VW Rabbit, but over here we call it a Golf. And I went to look at this car thinking it would be absolutely beyond repair. And it wasn't. It had been in this garage for quite a while. And without elaborating on the whole story, it's actually worth quite a lot of money. But when I pulled it out there, you know, I had no estimations of this. And I can imagine that something like that with art, maybe if somebody said to you, "Look, I've got a house where sadly grandfather's died or whatever, do you want to come and have a look at the art?" You know, how would you know if anything there was of any value?
So there is that way of doing it too.
Yeah.
That is the way that you either. So I work as an art advisor.
Yes.
For clients.
Yes.
But these tend to be wealthy collectors who know what opportunities are out there, but just don't have the time to do all of that sort of legwork.
That's what I wanted to hear.
So that's why you would employ an advisor.
You're the leg man.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can get lucky that way.
Yes.
But easily, the more regular way to get lucky, like it must be the case that there are cars that are coming off of the factory floor this year that it's generally understood that you will be able to sell them for more in 5 years' time.
Only on, I would, in my opinion, only on the very high level cars, which goes to the art perfectly.
This is my point. So what do you need to spend on a car where you don't have to do all the legwork? You can literally just rock up and write a check.
My guess would be probably between £50,000 and £70,000.
That's interesting. Okay, I thought it was going to be higher than that.
Yeah, initially when you said that, I thought between 125 and 150.
Yeah, because that's, in my mind, those are the kind of cars that are investment grade.
Yeah.
So in art, the number that you just said is actually spot on. So in art,
50 to 70.
Yeah. If you want if you want a blue chip piece of art,
yeah,
that I can look you in the eye and say that's definitely original.
Yeah.
Then you need to go and spend 50 to 70.
Right.
For certain prints, like you can get certain Banksy prints
Yeah.
signed Banksy prints for 10, 15, 20.
Oh, really?
You can get certain signed Picasso prints for 30, 35.
I was
Now these are
offered-
unoriginal pieces.
I was offered a cigarette packet, a Gitan cigarette packet for £12,000, and I thought that's a fake. There is no way that Picasso would have scrawled on the back of a cigarette packet. And 2 years later, the guy sold it for £35,000. It was original. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
real.
yeah. Well, you need your provenance on that.
I needed you.
There's a load of cowboys and charlatans out there.
Yeah, we should.
It is to
We
be
should reiterate that.
to be
everybody.
clear.
Yeah.
There are ways to lose money
Yeah.
in art as well, but there's also real ways to make money. You do have to have money to make money in the art world. You're not going to get investment work at $5 grand.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to get out of bed for £5 grand, are you?
No. But there's, I mean, you can get incredibly lucky. I mean, the most expensive piece of art that's ever been sold, which is the discovered Leonardo da Vinci, which I think the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince purchased for £600 million.
600 million.
The guys who discovered it bought it for a couple of grand.
No, I can't believe that.
It's true. It's a discovered Leonardo da Vinci. They then had restorers look at it, and what they found, do you know how they proved that it was a genuine Leonardo da Vinci?
No idea.
Okay, so there's lots of copies of this, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a portrait of Christ.
Okay.
There's lots of copies of it.
Yep.
When they did an x-ray of the canvas, they found the lead of the pencil that was used by the person to sketch the figure underneath before he started painting.
Wow.
Okay? And on the canvas, they found the remnants of the lead from where the person had originally planned to paint the hand like this, had sketched the hand like this,
Yeah.
but then had painted the hand like this.
So he changed it.
So if you were making a copy, there's no reason
You would do that.
you would do that.
You would just copy the hand as it was.
You would copy the hand as it
Wow.
was. But because they found, and because obviously the carbon dating of the lead,
Sure.
and because of all of the other things,
Yeah.
they knew it was very, 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 very old,
Yeah.
right? They knew it was about the right time. They didn't know if it was a Da Vinci, but the x-ray of the lead underneath literally took guys from a couple of grand to $500 million.
Wow. And then only last week, prior to filming today, a Banksy was sold for some ridiculous money last week. I think it was the one of Marilyn Monroe. It's been in all the news.
No, that was an Andy Warhol. He sold for
Oh, was it
200
Andy
million.
Warhol? Yes, that's it, yeah.
200 million.
I really know my art, guys, as you can tell. That's why I need him, definitely. How much did it sell for?
195 million to be exact.
Dollars.
I'm pretty sure it was dollars.
Wow.
It was 170 million to the seller and 25 million to the auction house.
Again, I mean, it's simply amazing stuff, isn't it? But you just don't know what's going to be. How do you when you represent artists, like,
Yeah.
let's take your stable, if you like, of artists that you've currently got. How do you know which one of them is going to go on to become a Leonardo da Vinci? Can you spot something within them? Or?
Well, okay, so there's two things here. There's the work of the artist.
Yeah.
So there's four things I look for in an artist. There's the narrative, nuance, the novelty, and the network of that artist. It's in my book. It's the four ends.
The four ends.
Right. So for novelty is what they're doing original.
Okay.
Nuance is what they're doing hard to do. Could your 11-year-old do it?
Yeah.
Narrative, what are they saying?
Okay.
Network, who do they know?
Wow.
Just like every other business, that counts. Now,
Yeah.
you don't have to knock it out the park on all four in order to become an amazing artist.
Okay.
But there is a conversation that is taking place by the collectors and investors in the world about those four things.
Right.
So Banksy, for instance, who uses a stencil technique,
Yes.
which your 11-year-old could do
Yeah.
in order to paint his work, gets maybe low on the novelty score.
Yeah.
But what he actually says with his work, the narrative, is so profound. People who don't know anything about art, look at Banksy and say, wow, do you get what he's saying?
Yeah.
Right? So he's so off the charts there. And because what he says is so off the charts, he's built up an extraordinary network of people who believe in him. So when I'm coaching a collector on how to expand a portfolio, and okay, someone comes to me, which happened last week, and they said, okay, Richard, I want to spend £50,000 on a piece of art.
Yeah.
Right? Well, this is the sort of conversation I'm going to have with them to kind of try to teach them where that £50,000 should go.
This is brilliant, utterly brilliant. I love it. So let's try and sum this all up. I mean, the book, I've got to get a copy of this book, and it is coming out soon, yeah?
Thank you. And I'm opening my gallery on the 23rd of June.
This is not your gallery?
No, this is a workshop area.
Okay, right. I was going to ask you where the gallery was.
So we're going to open the gallery on the 23rd of June, mkwcreative.com. Get more details.
Coming up down there somewhere, guys.
And yeah, I'm really excited. It's going to be our new space in Notting Hill, right here in London.
Fantastic. So we're basically what we're talking in June sometime.
23rd of June it should be.
Yeah, so 23rd of June, and then I mean, this place is fantastic as it is. I love it. It's very bohemian, very arty. You couldn't have picked a better place, could you, really, thinking about it?
No, I really like our space. I think that the feng shui of our environment really does impact our ability to think and be creative. It's why I'm in the art world. I think having a certain energy in your surroundings impacts your life, my life, everyone's life.
And no matter what you do, if you've got that energy, it's going to push you even further. Which, I mean, there's no holding you back at the moment, is there?
Things are going well.
It's been it's been a privilege to sit here and listen to you talk about art and actually learn something, about art. I love the ends, the nuances, I'll have to look that up, we'll get the book. Guys, if you want a copy of that book, I'm sure Richard's going to push it at the end, so I'll put up some bits and pieces where you can go get it. You've got websites and everything.
Yeah. There's a download on the website.
Oh, utterly brilliant. That's better. And if you are interested in art, then obviously feel free to contact Richard.
Of course.
And if you are an artist and you think Richard might be interested in your work, then also contact Richard. Can't be fairer than that, can we?
Nope. Thanks, Andy.
You've been brilliant. Thank you so much.
Great to see you.
It's been excellent. Guys, let's just sit here and contemplate that just for a couple of minutes, because it's utterly brilliant.
So there you have it, guys. That was Richard Williamson from McKay Williamson, the art specialists, and he's definitely a specialist, that's for sure. I thoroughly enjoyed my afternoon learning a little bit about art, how to collect it and what to look for, but ultimately you go to a specialist when you're doing something like that, and Richard is definitely the specialist. You've been watching me, AJ, on The Player. I hope you've enjoyed what we've just filmed, and I look forward to any comments. If you've got any questions for Richard, just leave them in the comment box down below. Don't forget, if you'd like to subscribe, leave that bell sign unchecked, because you will always get updated on all the different videos that we are currently putting up, and there are a lot of them as well. If you could do me one last big favour, and that's give us a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. We don't get a bonus, we don't get any extra pay, but what we do get is a pat on the back from the sponsors and the boss to say job well done, because if you thumbs up, you obviously like what we're doing. I'll catch you next week with something just a little bit different. Who knows? I'll see you then.